How did proprietary RAW files work in 2000s digital cameras? Imagine capturing a moment in time with a camera that keeps more than just a pretty picture. In the early 2000s, digital cameras started to become part of everyday life, especially for those into fashion and lifestyle. While most people just clicked and shared JPEG images, some photographers and enthusiasts wanted more control over their photos. That's where RAW files came into play. These files weren't your typical ready-to-share images. Instead, they were like digital negatives, raw data straight from the camera's sensor, waiting to be processed. The camera sensor in these early digital cameras was made up of tiny pixels covered by color filters, usually red, green, or blue, arranged in a pattern called a Bayer filter. Each pixel only recorded one color, so the camera's analog-to-digital converter turned these light signals into numbers. This process created a raw and processed file full of grayscale data for each pixel. Think of it as a recipe that needed to be cooked before you could see the final dish. Different camera brands stored this raw data in their own formats. Canon used, and later, files, Nikon had NEF, Olympus used, and others had their own proprietary formats. These raw files weren't compatible across brands, meaning a photo from a Canon camera couldn't be opened directly with Nikon software. This meant photographers needed specific software tailored to their camera brand to work with these files. When you shot in RAW mode, the camera saved two things: the raw data file and a small JPEG preview. The JPEG was quick to display on the camera's screen, but the real treasure was in the raw file. It contained all the original sensor data, including a wider range of brightness and color information than a JPEG could hold. It also stored metadata like shutter speed, aperture, and ISO settings, which could be useful later when editing. To turn a raw file into a viewable image, you needed special software on your computer. This process was called developing or processing the raw file. The software would first demosaic the image, using the Bayer pattern to estimate the full color for each pixel. Then, it would apply adjustments like white balance, contrast, and sharpening. Since the raw image hadn't been processed in the camera, you could tweak these settings afterward, giving you more control over how your photo looked. For everyday users, shooting in RAW was a bit like using film. You couldn't see the final picture right away, and you had to put in some extra work to get the best results. But for those into fashion or capturing special moments, RAW files meant preserving every detail, fixing mistakes, and making the most of their camera's capabilities. It was a new way to take control of your images, even if it meant carrying extra memory cards and spending more time editing on the computer. Looking back, the era of proprietary RAW files in the 2000s was a time of discovery and challenge. Photographers learned to harness the power of digital negatives, but they also had to deal with incompatible formats and slower computers. Shooting RAW became a part of the creative process, blending technical skill with artistic vision. It marked a shift from simple snapshots to more professional, high-quality photography, shaping how people documented their lives and fashion moments during that exciting time.